We call the Mayor Board of Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, July the 25th, 2023 to order. The first item of order is the opening prayer by Pastor Bo Grace from Waypoint Baptist Church. So please stand for the opening prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, it always amazes and humbles me that as small as we are, we can call upon your name and know that you are there and know that you hear our prayers and the things that we bring to you that are of interest to us are of interest to you. That's just incredible how that happens. But God, we know that that's true. And so God, we call upon you tonight to bless this meeting. God, you have put people in leadership positions in this place. You've given them great responsibility. And God, I want to pray that you would divinely direct them in every decision that they make and everything that they do. God, I pray that you would bless them not only in their public life, but also in their private life as well. We know that Satan would like to ruin their reputation. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but you've come that they might have life and have it abundantly. So I pray your protection over them. I pray that you would protect them from people who would do things and say things that might discourage them. I pray that you would give them encouragement during times like that. God, we're so grateful for the way that they've handled these recent storms and everything that I know has been overwhelming. And we're so grateful for the way that that has been and for the way that that's going. God, we just pray your blessings upon this meeting tonight. May everything that's said and everything that's done bring honor and glory and praise to the name of Jesus Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Madam Clerk, will you read the future meetings into the record, please?
Bartlett Station Commission, August 2nd at 7:30 a.m. City Beautiful Commission, August 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Family Assistance Commission, August 7th at 6 p.m. Planning Commission, August 7th at 7 p.m.
Thank you. We'll recognize any scouts that may be in the audience at this time. And not seeing anyone, no scouts, I would recognize. I think we've got the Honorable Judge Brown in the crowd with us. Is there another elected official in the crowd that maybe I overlooked? If not, thank you, Judge Brown, for what you do for the city of Bartlett. And so we'll move to the official business of the day. And Madam Clerk, we're moving to approval of the minutes. Will you read the first item under the approval of minutes into record, please?
Minutes of the July 11th, 2023 Board of Mayor and Aldermen regular meeting.
You should have all received those in time to see if there was any corrections, omissions, or errors. And if there is none found, we'd entertain a motion to approve.
There are no corrections. I move we approve.
Been properly motioned by Alderman Jack Young and seconded by Alderman Bobby Simmons. Is there any debate or question on this over the minutes? Seeing no discussion, so please go to your device and cast your vote. The minutes are approved unanimously, 6-0. So, Madam Clerk, would you read the next item under public hearings into the record?
Individuals will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak either for or against the item, with a total of 20 minutes for each side. There are 3 public hearings. The first public hearing is Ordinance 23-03, an ordinance to amend Title I, Chapter 1, establishing Robert's Rules of Order as the official set of procedures for conducting business at City of Bartlett Board of Mayor and Aldermen meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This actually came about when Penny Medlock realized that we didn't ever officially adopt Robert Rules of Order. I thought we had done it many, many years ago, but we couldn't find anything in the record to indicate that we did. MTAS has recommended it, but it's not simply a recommendation. There were some changes in the law this year. One of those deals with another ordinance that we're going to try to pass tonight. And we've been doing this for years anyway. But one of the ordinances requires that all legislative bodies make public comments a section of their meeting. And the ordinance went into effect in April, and there's a provision in it that if we forget to there's also an ordinance that requires you to send out an agenda 48 hours in advance. We've always done that, but now we're required to do it. But one of these two ordinances has a provision that if you need to add something to the agenda, you can do that if you've adopted rules that would allow it. Robert's Rules does allow that. So that's one of the reasons for MTAS's recommendation for adopting Robert's Rules of Order. A lot of cities in Tennessee have adopted Robert's Rules of Order. I know that some people have some concerns about it, and I get it. But I also think that this board is a good board. I think it's a collegial board. Any set of rules could be tinkered with. And any set of rules, if someone wants to cause difficulty, could be used to do that. If we don't adopt Robert's Rules of Order, we've got to adopt some rules that would allow for that. And then the process of trying to do that could be contentious in and of itself, that probably isn't worth doing. Robert's Rules of Order recognizes that for small boards, that if you don't want to use all the rules, you don't have to, okay? I mean, I've been on a lot of boards, I've worked with a lot of boards over 46 years of practicing law. I've attended a lot of board meetings. I've attended meetings that make you nauseous, meetings that give you headaches afterwards. In the 20 years that I've been attending these meetings, I haven't had that experience. I told Mayor McDonald for years that we had a good board. We did. We still do. We've got a good board. People may have different opinions, and they may express their opinions, which they've got a right to do, but they work together as a body, okay? I recommend that we do adopt Robert's Rules of Order. I think that rather than trying to create our own, we've got rules that have stood the test of time. You don't have to use all of them. We've effectively been doing Robert's Rules of Order for the last 20 years without any problems, without any abuse of the system. And I subscribe to a legal theory that's extremely complicated. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, okay? Very complicated legal theory. I think the system we're using works. I don't think Robert's Rules of Order is going to change that at all. I don't think it's going to cause anyone to be abusive and to try to take over any meetings. I've got confidence in each of the members of the board, and I've got confidence that you will select someone to replace Alderman Simmons that will fit in with this board also and will not try to be abusive or manipulate the system. I know there may be some questions about it, but I do recommend, as does MTAS, that we adopt Robert's Rules of Order. And should someone attempt to manipulate it, we can fix it. We can go back, we can create our own rules, or we could eliminate particular provisions of Robert's Rules in order to satisfy whatever concerns we may have down the road. So if for whatever it's worth, I recommend it. If there's problems, we can fix them down the road. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. This is a public hearing. Any individual wishing to speak in favor of this item, please come to the microphone at this time. State your name and address for the record, please. Seeing no one coming forward wishing to speak in favor, anyone that'd like to speak in opposition, please come to the microphone. So no one coming forward. So this time we adjourn the public hearing on ordinance 2303 and move to item number 2 under the public hearings. Madam Clerk, will you read next item number 2 into the record, please?
Public hearing for ordinance 23-04, an ordinance to amend Title 20, Chapter 1, Air Pollution Control Code to update permit and emission fees.
Mr. McKinney.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is more of a housekeeping item. Shelby County periodically modifies their pollution control code and updates fees. They did this back in 2012 2021, and they've asked us to amend ours to be consistent with the Shelby County fees. That's all this is. Simply housekeeping.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. Again, this is a public hearing. Anybody wish to come speak in favor of ordinance 2304, please come forward. Seeing no one come forward to speak in favor, those who might wish to speak against item 2304. Seeing no one coming forward, this will conclude and adjourn item number 2 under public hearings. Madam Clerk, read item number 3 into the record, please.
Public hearing ordinance for ordinance 23-05, an ordinance to amend Title 12, Building, Utility, etc. Codes, fee provisions for the City of Bartlett Code of Ordinances.
Again, Mr. McKinney.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, board members, this simply is codifying what we adopted in the budget last month. The Bartlett Code, there were several provisions that were increased, fees were increased just a little bit as part of the budget was already adopted. Rather than try to have somebody go through the budget and figure out what the fees are, we thought it was easier to put it actually in the ordinance itself, and the Code Enforcement Department did a great job. They went through and they redlined anything that was taken out and anything that was put in. So it makes it easier for the citizens of Bartlett to know what the fees are, but we're not changing fees tonight. We're simply codifying what's already been adopted.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. Anyone wish to come forward speaking in favor of ordinance 2305? Please come at this time. Seeing no one coming forward in favor, those who wish to speak in opposition to ordinance 2305. Seeing no one coming forward, this concludes and adjourns the public hearing portion of the agenda tonight, and we move to unfinished business. Item number 1 under unfinished business. Madam Clerk, could I get you to read that in the record, please?
Third reading of ordinance 23-03, an ordinance to amend Title 1, Chapter 1, establishing Robert's Rules of Order as the official set of procedures for conducting business at City of Bartlett Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings.
At this time, Mr. McKinney, the City Attorney, will speak. Is there anything you'd like to say?
Sir, I think I said really all I need to. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Ed, I have a question.
So could we hold the question portion to after we received a motion in a second, please?
I'll move it.
So it's been motioned by Mr. Reeves.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Brad King. At this time, we'll move to discussion. Alderman King, you're free to ask your question.
Ed, using Robert Rules of Order, anything in our city charter will override. If we say a vote should be this way in our charter and Robert's Rules of Order says it should be this percentage, anything in our city charter will overrule what's in Robert's Rules of Order. And if our city charter doesn't address it, then we will use Robert's Rules of Order. Is that correct?
Yes, I think that's probably a fair statement.
Yeah.
This isn't really anything to fear, okay?
Right.
And if you actually read the rules, I sat down today, and there's a lot of them. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to mislead anybody in that regard. There's a bunch. But they really intend to make things streamlined. Okay?
Correct.
And the goal of it is to prevent someone from really taking over a meeting.
Correct.
And I've seen it abused. Not in Bartlett. I'm not going to say where I've seen it abused. And this is being televised. I'd just soon not do that. But I personally have seen it abused. I do not anticipate that being the case in Bartlett. I don't. I've got confidence in this board. But to answer your question, yes.
Thank you.
Alderman Reeves, you're recognized.
Thank you. And I know that I'm the one who's objected to this to the most because I have seen it abused. Not only have I seen it abused, but I've seen people try to use it who don't know how to use it. And that's the biggest issue with Robert's Rules of Order. If there's not a parliamentarian who can actually rule and decipher the rules, it could any of us could throw the whole meeting into chaos. Now, I know that you have a lot of faith in the board, and these guys are all great guys. But it doesn't take but one person who wants to blow things up to manipulate Robert's rules.
That could happen.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mislead you. That could happen.
It's 300 pages, and some of it's archaic. I always thought it was really about governing larger bodies. But so here's my thing. At the end of the day, first question, who is going to be the parliamentarian who's going to rule on the motions? Is it going to be the mayor? Or are we going to hire, is it going to be you?
We don't have a parliamentarian, and we don't have to have one.
Yes, sir. Well, I recognize this as Dave gets through.
David, if you read it, we're a self-governing body. And if we disagree on the way the Robert's Rules of Order is interpreted, we as a body decide which way we as a body think it should go. If it's a gray area, and I call a point of order, for example, on the mayor, and the mayor says, no, Brad, you're wrong. And I said, no, Mayor, you're wrong. Then he will tell us what he thinks. I will tell us what I think, and then this board votes on who they think is right.
But you see where I'm going with it.
Oh, yeah.
That in and of itself is a circular thing. And so I've been in 10, 12-hour meetings on other bodies where this has become a problem. So this is my recommendation. Okay? I'm not against Robert's Rules of Order. I'm against it if we don't have somebody who can interpret it and do it well, because it happens, just like Brad talked about, we wind up getting this back and forth over motion and what the motion means. And David, I don't expect you to memorize 300 pages of Robert's Rules of Order. I think that.
But Robert's Rules of Order says that's how you do a disagreement.
That's what I'm saying, though. I mean,
yeah.
you see what I'm saying, though? Disagreement.
But even if Ed stepped in and said, I say, Brad, you're wrong. And I'm just using it for example. Robert's Rule of Order says we're a self-governing body, that one person cannot make the call.
You could vote me down.
That's right. You can.
We could vote that Ed is wrong and I was right.
Yes, you can. So that's what I'm saying. It's my experience is the reason why I bring this up, okay? I don't want to see us devolve into that. Mm-hmm. So I'm for approving this, but I'd like to see us establish permanent rules of order that really establishes the narrow rules that we're going to use. That way they're easy to interpret. You can learn them really easy. And then if we need to invoke the rest of them, we can do it by majority vote. There's just some archaic rules in there I don't want us getting into. So in other bodies have permanent rules that are subsets of Robert's Rules. So, I would move that we adopt these, but we delay the implementation subject to creating permanent rules of order that we could use.
If the board wants to do that, you certainly have the option.
That's not the motion.
The motion is to approve it.
The motion is either approve or not approve, not to.
But I was amending it.
Well, you have to have a motion to amend it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, you making a motion, then you got to have a second to amend it.
I'll second it.
So,
sorry. I'll second that motion. Sorry.
Hold on. Jack,
I'm just, and I guess I'm ignorant compared to what all's going on here, but I've been on this board a long time. I've always thought we operated under Robert's Rules of Order.
So did I.
And I think what we're doing is making something official, and we're splitting hairs to the point where it sounds like we're not going to get along. So let's don't operate the way we always have.
That's my suggestion to the board.
But you've not been doing that. You've not been doing that. And there's stuff in Robert's Rules that you think you've been doing, but you haven't.
For instance?
Like a proper motion on the floor before you even begin listening to it and then debating it, right?
Now, Mayor McDonald attempted to do that, and I think Mayor Parsons has attempted to do that too.
Yeah.
Now, every once in a while, something will slip through the cracks because we're all people, and we all have ideas, and we all want to express what our ideas are. Yeah. And we may fall short on occasion, but the system has worked for a long time, and I think what Alderman Young is saying is true. I think we have followed, maybe not every single rule to the letter of Robert's Rules, but we have certainly met its intent, I think, over the years. And if we start having problems, then I think you try to amend to fix that. I understand your concerns, Alderman Reese. I get it. You come from a different background and a different board, that the dynamics are apples and oranges, okay?
Yeah.
I get it, and I understand your history with that, and I respect that. But I think we can address those issues if and when problems arise.
Okay, Alderman Quinn.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I agree with you, and I know you said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I always say things work until they don't, and things work until they don't. You know, the Titanic only hit one iceberg, and I think that's what your point is. You know, we're going to get into something. So that's the reason I second the motion to.
So
what's the his motion is
the
approved.
amend.
That's correct. I second it.
And then he made an amendment.
Now he's making
he's
an
not
amendment.
stated the amendment, I don't think, though, Kevin.
I thought you did. Sorry.
Have you?
Yeah.
So what's the amendment?
So the amendment is to approve it subject to the creation of permanent rules of order, and to delay the implementation of Robert's rules until we actually have the permanent rules of order, and we approve it.
That's
So
what I second.
and he's got a second. So it will take. If it fails, it won't go in.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Right. So creating permanent rules of order and bringing that back for approval before the board. That's all I'm looking for, are just the permanent rules.
One point, just if we do that, should something come up before we crystallize the final rules, and an agenda item we need to add an item, we're not going to be able to do that until we've adopted rules.
So today we can't add an agenda item to the agenda?
Correct.
How is that?
That's the law in Tennessee now.
To the next agenda?
The legislature passed that this year. Unless we've adopted rules, you cannot bring something up that's not on the agenda and vote on it.
So,
That
I
makes
think
sense.
what Ed's saying is
Actually, we could just vote on it by majority to add it to the agenda. How could we not do that? We have that power.
The statute supersedes all of that. The statute says we don't have the authority to vote on an agenda item that's not on the agenda unless we've adopted rules that would permit it. Robert's rules would permit it. So that's the downside to your motion, Alderman Reese.
Okay, that makes sense.
so I think what you're saying, Ed, is
We can go ahead and implement it fully, but let's go back and create permanent rules.
hold on just a second. I had the floor.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think what Ed was saying is we could go in and vote to adopt it, and then we can work to come back to change it. Then we would have that cover that Ed's talking about. Now, Alderman King, you recognize.
The motion, he can't take the motion back. It's been seconded. It's on the floor. It belongs to this board right now.
Actually, I can withdraw the motion.
No, you can't.
I can withdraw the motion.
Not once it's been seconded, you can't.
Withdraw?
No, he can't withdraw it once it's been seconded because it belongs to this board. Robert Rule of Order says you cannot take a motion back once he seconds a motion.
Ed, I'll defer to Mr. McKinney.
You know, he's right. He's right, it does. But
Yeah,
you can simply
Can't
vote
take
it
it.
You're not, we've got the right to bring it up down the road, but you did properly second it.
So,
Call the question.
Once you second a motion, it's
no, I
not
understand that
yours.
part. I'm just trying to see how we're arguing about Robert's Rules of Order that we haven't adopted, and the state told us we don't have to adopt Robert's Rules of Order, but we're being, and MTS suggested we do, but you're saying we have to even have this discussion.
No, I see why you think that. This is kind of convoluted. Several statutes were passed this year, one of which in April, one of which in July. And the effect of that is we cannot, no legislative body can vote on an item that's not on the agenda unless it's already adopted rules that would allow it. Robert's rules does allow that. Other rules could allow that. But if we don't implement Robert's rules tonight, and then tonight something comes up you want to vote upon, you can't do it. Or at the next meeting, you couldn't do it.
But the vote is on this, so you're saying you can't amend something because the amendment is not on the agenda? Because how could it be?
If we don't have rules that we've already adopted that allow it, the answer to that is no, you can't.
Okay.
Okay.
So I thought, did you withdraw your second?
I will withdraw it.
Yeah, withdraw.
Yeah, and then I think you have to vote on that. Just vote that down. That subject, you know he's got the right to, or anyone's got the right to bring it up down the road.
Okay, so we need to do a vote on that. Do we,
We're voting on the amendment.
That's right.
you just want to do a verbal vote on?
On the amendment.
We're voting on the amendment.
I thought you withdrew the amendment.
You can't.
It,
He
I've
explained.
been in other.
that you
Oh,
can't.
sorry, okay, sorry.
I've never been in a body.
They
where
said
you
if I
couldn't
withdrew, he
withdraw.
could withdraw.
The vote would be no on the amendment if you don't want that to.
This is why we need to have permanent rules of order.
Yes.
So it's going to be on the screen, you want to do a verbal?
Right. Your votes will show yes, but you can change them.
That's fine.
Okay?
All right.
Ready to start the vote?
Yes, ma'am.
We're voting on the amendment?
Yep.
Hold it, just pause a minute. So Ed, can you explain to them what their yes means and what their no means?
Okay. If you vote no, we're voting no on the amendment to defer. Okay. That's what a no vote would be. If you vote yes, you're wanting to defer it, which would mean if you bring up an agenda item or a new item for the agenda, you can't vote on that.
Okay.
So I think the vote that I'm not trying to tell you how to vote, but if you want to be able to have the right to add something to an agenda, you should vote no.
Does anybody have any questions before we vote?
No, I'm going to put this. I'm going to vote no against it. That way we can get on the original motion.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a big deal. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on what your yes and no means. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So back to the original motion.
Okay.
So is there any more discussion before we move to, I think it was a question call? I'm sorry. That was on, is any more discussion?
I'll just say this last comment from me. I just made the point, the reason why we have to, we just argued for 15 minutes about Robert's Rules of Order. And that's what happens when you establish and you vote, when you take that whole thing in and you're arguing about motions with no one who could actually be the parliamentarian. I'm just saying, that's the reason why I brought it up the way that I did. Okay?
I get it. I respect what you're saying. I absolutely understand what you're saying, Alderman Reese. I'm not being critical of you at all.
If we don't establish any types of permanent rules, we have to have a parliamentarian from my viewpoint. I've been on 2 different bodies. We had to have one.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Having a parliamentarian to me is unnecessary. I've only known one city in West Tennessee to have one, and that was only a short-term situation. But they didn't really have much choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Understand.
Meetings could get hijacked sometimes, and
That's right.
if that starts happening, we'll have to revisit that issue. And you need to make whatever motion you want to make then, and we'll fix the problem if it exists. It can be, you guys, if there's a problem down the road, you've got the authority to fix it.
Okay.
Alderman King, do you still want to be recognized?
Okay, so I have one more question. So, sorry.
As soon as I recognize Alderman Quinn.
Yeah, sorry. That's okay. I know it's very confusing. And for everybody playing along at home. So are we able to make comment now about putting this on the agenda for next time before we go down the road where there's some kind of problem to go ahead and establish
You
the
wanting
rules?
to add something to the agenda tonight?
No, I'm not adding anything else to this agenda. Amending anything. I'm just asking, like Alderman Reeves says, before we go, you're talking about going down the road.
Right.
Before we go down the road, how do we set up this agenda item quickly to get this taken care of?
So we've got a couple of workshops coming up. We can discuss it in one of those if you want, Kevin.
Okay.
Sometimes that happens. Emergency things come up. Something happens during the 2 weeks between meetings, okay? And sometimes they happen within 48 hours of a meeting. If they happen quickly enough, you can get it on the agenda within 48 hours of your meeting. If they happen too quickly, within that 48 hours, there is a mechanism in which you can get it on the agenda. We then want to give as much notice of the changed agenda as you can. You put it on the website, you post it out there. You try to let citizens know what you're going to be voting on, because that's the key to all of this, that the public knows what action is going to be taken at any given board meeting, so they've got a right to appear and speak as to that, so you know what they want you to do. But yes, you can do that. And if we do adopt Robert's rules tonight, we would be permitted to do that, Alderman Quinn. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so please go to your devices and vote. Ordinance 2303 passes 5-1. And Madam Clerk, will you read item number 2 into the record?
Third reading of ordinance 23-04, an ordinance to amend Title 20, Chapter 1, Air Pollution Control Code to update permit and emission fees.
Mr. McKinney.
I'm not sure I have anything to add to that. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer.
Will we approve?
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, go to your device and vote, please. Ordinance 2304 passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, would you read item number 3 in the record?
Third reading of ordinance 23-05, an ordinance to amend Title 12, Building, Utility, etc. Code fee provisions for the City of Bartlett Code of Ordinances.
We've already had explanation from the City Attorney Ed McKinney. If there's any further discussion, we'll move it to discussion motion after the motion and second has been received. Is there a motion to receive?
Move we approve.
Properly motioned by Alderman Jack Young.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Robert Griffin. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion this time, please go to your devices and vote on item number 3 under unfinished business. Motion passes 5-1. We move to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, will you read the consent agenda and item number 1 under the consent agenda to the record?
Item 1, special event permit for Fall Festival Blues and Barbecue. Item 2, special event permit for Memphis Runners Track Club Road Race Series 5-mile run.
Is there any member wish to remove any item for separate discussion? Hearing none. Properly motioned by Alderman David Reeves.
Second.
And seconded by Alderman Robert Griffin. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, please go to your devices and cast your vote for the consent agenda. All right, consent agenda passes unanimously, 6-0. We move on to new business. Madam Clerk, read item number 1 of the record, please.
Contract for Viewpoint.
At this time, we'll ask City Administrator, or Chief Administrative Officer Steve Soames to give an explanation.
Well, not like I want to elongate this meeting any further, but we are going to have a couple of videos to view, and I'll lay a little backdrop to it. So, obviously, a lot of people on this board have discussed maybe potential revitalization efforts for the city of Bartlett, how we could highlight ourselves, and to be honest with you, it's kind of fell in our lap. So Viewpoint, which is a PBS show that is, I guess, essentially sponsored by Dennis Quaid, they reached out to us. They're working stories that are essentially titled Discover America, so great places to live, raise a family, visit, and start a business. And essentially what they're presenting us with is 3 options. So there'd be 3 videos that they would shoot for the city of Bartlett, one of which is anchored by Dennis Quaid. There's some parameters to that we'd have to work within. We do get access to some of that footage, but obviously we'd have to review that agreement to see how far we can go with it. That's more of a documentary, if you will, about the city, kind of talk about some of the things we've gone, how we've got from point A to point B. The second one is really more of what you would describe as a branding commercial. That'll be the first one that we'll watch here. It'll be 1 minute in duration. It airs nationally and airs locally. And then we, of course, have access to all the footage to use, social media pages, et cetera, B-roll footage, what have you. And then there's an additional piece. So the second video that you'll see here, as you're watching it, think about that more as a workforce development piece. So you think about our industrial park, where we have medical device, TCAT, Blue Oval coming in, et cetera, how that piece might be able to be used to highlight some of those things that we currently have to offer. Ms. Medlock?
What makes this city unique? Located at the junction of the Appomattox and James Rivers, Hopewell, Virginia serves as an incomparable example of city spirit. With a storied heritage and a resilient nature, the city of Hopewell has now been reborn through modern innovation and the dream of an exceptional future.
There's a real renaissance occurring in Hopewell currently. We have water access, we have a river walk, you can launch a kayak right there. We have restaurants you can walk to, we have the Beacon Theater, we have an amphitheater going in to the city park area right on the river.
It has so many things that other cities or communities want that we have right here. We have a really strong education system, we have access to a wonderful downtown and beautiful neighborhoods. But most importantly, Hopewell has a lot of people who are invested in this community.
If you haven't visited Hopewell recently, you haven't visited Hopewell. To learn more, visit hopewellva.gov.
The industrial history of the United States is fascinating. Starting in the 18th century, it was the dawn of innovation in the production of goods for a rapidly growing country, not to mention the jobs it created. With every generation, companies continue to grow and start-up businesses are born. With such growth comes the need for these businesses to find new places to call home.
When companies are looking at a new place to expand or to develop a new facility, they're typically looking for infrastructure, resources, water, power, fiber, and a good, solid, reliable workforce. All of these things aren't easy to find in one place, and so when you do, you've really got a great place to work and live.
The criteria is stiff, but there are places in the country that strike the balance between quality of life and necessary resources for companies looking to put down roots. One example is Utah's Box Elder County, where community leaders have managed to welcome emerging businesses without sacrificing a small-town feel.
Not only is Box Elder County a great place to work, but it's also a great place to live. We have a number of different recreational opportunities, such as hiking, biking. We have a couple of different bodies of water in Manaway and Willard Reservoir close. We're within a half hour to an hour of 5 major ski resorts. It's a wonderful place for many different outdoor activities. The growth of the businesses here in Box Elder County is really important for us so that we can have our children and grandchildren have the opportunity to stay here in Box Elder County, to raise their own families and be able to work here if they choose, instead of feeling like they have to go elsewhere for employment.
Here at Orbital ATK at our location here in Box Elder County, our primary business is the design and manufacture of large solid rocket motors. Primarily what we do here is we build human-rated rocket motors. We've been here almost 60 years. This particular location was chosen by our first company called Thiokol. They were looking for a location that was close enough to metropolitan areas to draw from the local universities and far enough away to allow us to expand and conduct the kind of business that we do. Over the years, we have been involved in several key programs for our nation that have required us to have a pretty significant amount of open space and personnel. We have over 1,200 employees here at this location in Box Elder County, and out of those 1,200, over half of them live within the county. So I think that's a testament to how much they enjoy living and working at the same location.
Box Elder County has long been a place of innovation and family-centric living. The Transcontinental Railroad was completed here, and with each generation, community leaders continue to attract high-tech industries to this beautiful area of the country. Its quiet, pioneering spirit leads the community to the forefront of the technological and manufacturing frontier, while keeping its roots in a rural setting.
Our roots in Box Elder County are in agriculture, and so there's a very strong work ethic that is in the county because of the agricultural heritage that we have. And as you bring in the manufacturing companies that we've been able to attract, both nationally and internationally, it's a really great fit because they're able to find a great employee base that is really hardworking. We have a great workforce here that's highly educated, have a number of multiple language speakers. One of the most interesting requests that we had for information was a company that wanted to make sure that their facility had a view of the mountains. And so it's a wonderful place to work and live with a great workforce, with a great work ethic.
Procter & Gamble is a consumer products company. Specifically here in Box Elder County, we make Charmin toilet paper and Bounty paper towels. We wanted to build a manufacturing site in the West in order to service our customers better. So as we were looking in the West, Utah, specifically Box Elder County, offered the necessary resources that we needed in order to produce those products and service our customers. Another reason why we came here was because of the highly reliable and capable workforce that was offered. The partnership that we've created with the state, the county, and the local governments has been fantastic and continues to grow. When we set out, our vision was to redefine manufacturing in America. In a short time, we were able to do that through the culture, the productivity, and innovation. We wouldn't have been able to do that without our people and their families in the community. There are 250 to 300 people employed at the facility, all supporting us in this goal to help redefine manufacturing in America.
Box Elder County has become known as a manufacturing hub in the western United States because of our infrastructure, our location to a freeway system and rail, and we're attracting a lot of high-quality companies to come here to expand. And we want people to know that they can feel welcome working and living in Box Elder County.
To learn more, visit us online today.
So just add in a few follow-up points real fast. So obviously before jumping into something like this, you want to vet it. Spoke to several different cities that have used it. Probably the most helpful of which was a communications manager in Bryan County, Georgia, Matt Kent. Spoke to him today. They're going through this process. They were pursuing it similar to what we are. They have a Hyundai EV plant that's going in, kind of like a blue oval, if you will, looking for ways to highlight their community and try to get the word out there about what their city was doing. So basically what he laid out for me was you choose people from your community that you're wanting to highlight in this video. We essentially help lay out an entire script that kind of help you do that, but you pick the content. You have a lot of input in regards to footage, et cetera, that you're going to try to include. So this is essentially being presented to you as a body for consideration as a way to move forward. But more specifically, how would we use this, if voted upon and approved, to highlight everything that we offer here, from our schools, industrial park, parks and rec, you name it, how we could use this as a way to, I guess, showcase what Bartlett has to offer.
So at this time, we'd entertain a motion to either approve or disapprove.
I move we approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned and second. At this time, we'll open the floor up for discussion.
I have some discussion. First off, thank you all for bringing this forward. I know you didn't have to because it's under, it's 24,500.
Yeah, it's 21,100 would be what the current fee was. It doesn't exceed the 25. You're correct. Yes.
Right, but it includes a $3,400 fee for the crew to come here
on site. Yes, sir.
On site, and then whatever else comes up. I spent a long time in TV, and I've shot and edited these things. I mean, this is a standard corporate video, so I was very curious about it. I'm sorry, there's a lot to unpack. I know y'all didn't come from a long show, but first off, Dennis Quaid never shows up. He sits in the studio. They send the crew out. They do whatever, and that's great. It runs on PBS, which generally the ratings are so low they just asterisk a lot of times in the books. The other networks they're on, they asterisk in the books. We are getting some footage, and we talked about local places who will shoot this footage, for for expensive. They're all expensive to have something like this. So that's what my concern is. And also, I Googled up, these other cities who've done it. And first off, all I found was they tend to look for cities like our size or a little smaller, places you haven't heard of, and I still haven't heard of, and talked to them. And I saw where they had approved it ahead of time, and then the aldermen or council people found out and got real upset, and there's news articles about that because of the expense. Fortunately, we got a good deal, so it looks like the price is going down over the years. But that's my concern, and also it's companies that need this. They need a corporate video, and because they get the footage. So I just don't know if this is the best use of the money, because we don't have full control over it. I know we write some and do things like that, but why couldn't we just hire somebody to put something together, a local production company, to put something together, and have total control over it, and maybe also we can get some of these companies that are going to be part of it to pitch in some money, because these are already established companies, so it's not like, they should be able to, they'll get advertising out of it also. So, because I know that from what I read, some of the individual companies involved, they pitched in some of the money to cities too, instead of the city footing the whole bill. And so that's why I would like to, kind of explore that instead. I mean, it's a great idea.
So, Kev, we've got plans to explore that option.
Well, we're voting to pay for it tonight.
We've explored that option, trying to get people to partner up into that, and just saying, even doing this and additional videos, there's a plan to try to get corporate people to buy into that. They can buy into this, and we plan on expanding it beyond that.
Okay, I just didn't see that in the agenda where it says we have these corporate people who are going to pay into it. Mm-hmm. It says that the city of Bartlett is going to have the burden of $24,500 plus whatever else that they deemed. If you look at the contract, there's a little more to it. So,
well, I had one point. So there is no additional cost. I spoke to Matt specifically about that. So is there going to be an addition, or there's going to be some type of contract extension, et cetera? So they've stuck to costs. There is nothing. It is what it is. The reason the cost came down was not because of a discount. It's because they got sponsors for our city. That's why they pursued sponsors for us. That's the reason that the cost was reduced. So who those sponsors are, I do not know.
Yeah.
But they pursued sponsorship to try to help get the cost down. As far as what the mayor's alluding to, there's been several people obviously who have reached out, stakeholders, if you will, that are looking to do some things. There's nothing that's going to pay for this currently, right? So this is an option that could essentially be used potentially as a launching pad, if you will, for some type of program. I understand what you're saying, and this is for the board to decide if we want to table it, you know what I mean, and we want to go and try to pursue another option. Everything we looked at so far, of course, we were researching that obviously when this came about. As far as the pricing goes, it's all going to run roughly the same as your starting piece. They will, of course, airtime and things like that come along with it. That is in this.
Yeah, I read all that.
Including local, including some local options. So I just throw that out there. That I understand where you're going with it. I do. You want this to reach as far as it possibly can. And I get it.
Yeah, I'd like to have more control over how we buy the media. That's what I'm saying, because I've bought cable before, and that's just a dud, Mm-hmm. And that's one reason I'm a little weary of it. I'm just because of my personal experience through decades of working on it. But it is beautiful stuff. I just didn't see any stories where city, because this has been going on for like 2 years.
2021, I think, was the first year they started airing it. Yeah.
So all I saw was complaints. I didn't see how somebody said, well, this really worked for us. Everybody came to Hopewell, Virginia or something, or whatever that was.
I didn't see complaints necessarily. I saw where one board turned it down. Mm-hmm. I saw boards that accepted it. I didn't see any rhetoric.
Well, I saw where a board was real upset they didn't get asked, so I do appreciate y'all asking. But I mean, I am a big believer in media, but I just want us to have full control, and I'd like for everybody else to have a buy-in to pay for it, because we are doing something for them. And that's the only thing is, we're already looking at we've raised fees and a lot of stuff like that, and now we're asking the taxpayers to pay for something extra when we could maybe get some money from somebody else. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a question for me as it pertains to this. What's the real business value for Bartlett can we just articulate it? I mean, it's on PBS. Now, if it was Randy Quaid doing it, it'd be one thing, but Dennis Quaid, no, either way. But no, what's the real business? I mean, let's think about the value of this, PBS, they're going to digitize it for us as well, and we can use it on our website. What's the real value of this?
I mean, you could ask the same question about what would be a value in shooting any video, right? I mean, is any video going to be a value to you? We have nothing like this currently. Everybody on the board has talked about at some point or another rebranding efforts, revitalization, et cetera. So just keep in mind that this is being presented as an option, okay? So it's here for you to discuss, to talk about what would be the best use of the funding if we wanted to push that agenda, right? The return on our investment, I don't know if you could encapsulate that, you know what I mean, monetarily, right? You have something that you could use to promote. Workforce development obviously is a key driver of what we would want to pursue here. You have TCAT in your own backyard, right? You've got a huge industrial park. You've got stuff coming out from the state all the time about people looking for landing spots for Blue Oval. Could we include these videos in some of those packages that we're submitting for properties or something like that might help highlight it? Maybe. Does that
We've already got it.
We did? Okay. Yep. That's right. I'm sorry. Is there any more discussion? Madam Clerk, please put the roll up. So looks like we have a tie there, 5-5.
3-3.
And, I'm sorry, 3-3. Since we have a motion, since we have a tie vote here, I'm going to vote in the affirmative no. Yes, ma'am.
You're voting no?
Mm-hmm. We can bring this up at another time. And we can bring this up at another time and another place. And I do think I think all we was trying to do here was try to put something, and if nothing else, start the ball rolling forward.
Can I just say one more thing? I like the suggestion about Randy Quaid, because that would be much more interesting and exciting. So if we can get him, see if his brother has a PBS show.
And under Robert's rules, any of us voting in the affirmative can bring this up at any time for reconsideration.
Okie doke. So, Madam Clerk, will you read item number 2 into the record, please?
Moving right along. Set a public hearing for August 22nd, 2023 for Resolution 25-23, a resolution approving a special use permit to allow a vehicle wash establishment to be located at 5905 Stage Road within the CGMS General Business with Main Street Overlay Zoning District.
Is there any need for Ms. Kim? If not, Ms. Kim, would you like to come to the microphone, please? And just keep in mind that this item agenda is to set a public hearing for setting a public hearing purposes only on August the 22nd. And if a motion is made, please include setting the public hearing in there for us.
The proposed new car wash owners are requesting a special use permit for the construction and operation of a new car wash to be located at 5905 Stage Road. The property is located in the CGMS, which is the General Business Main Street Overlay Zoning District. According to Article 5, Chart 1 of the Bartlett Zoning Ordinance, a special use permit is required in the CGMS General Business Main Street Overlay District to operate a car wash. Surrounding uses to this new development would include an adjacent car wash, a medical office, library, banks, offices, restaurants, and retail establishments. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at their meeting on July 12, 2023, and it comes to you with a favorable recommendation along with the attached approval conditions that's listed in your reports. Should the Board of Mayor and Aldermen approve the special use permit, Then the applicant will return to the Planning Commission with both a subdivision application and a site plan application, as well as they will go to the Design Review Commission for the approval of building materials and colors, landscaping, and lighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Chair would entertain a motion at this time.
Let me ask you, I got a question.
If you,
Let's
Bobby.
give a motion first, Bobby. I move we approve and set a public hearing for August 22nd.
Been a motion made by Alderman Jack Young. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by Alderman Brad King. At this time, Mr. Simmons, you're recognized with your question.
We go over there a lot because it's right across the street from, you're splitting it when you're going down the highway. And I'm just letting you know, this is the first I've ever heard of two and nobody knows anything about it, but it's way up and way down. So I'm just wanting to let you know that the guys over there that are building that thing is very, very nice people. So you're riding around, go over and take a look at it.
Thank you, Alderman Simmons.
Question?
Yes, sir, Mr. Reeves.
What happens if we vote down a public hearing for them?
It won't ever make it to a public hearing and never be heard.
Well, sorry. So can we vote down a public hearing, or we have to vote for a public hearing to?
I'm going to defer to our city attorney.
Our ordinance requires a public hearing on this. There was a recommendation for approval, or a favorable recommendation for approval to this board. I don't think tonight's vote should be interpreted as approving the car wash.
Right.
You simply have a hearing where the public can appear, that they can speak in favor of it or in opposition to it. So I've never actually had anybody do that where they voted down so there wouldn't be a public hearing.
Yeah, I think we should expect a little turbulence on this one, but I'm fine. Are we going to be voting on it that night on August 22nd, along with the hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be the third.
Then I would like for us to move it to the first meeting in September.
All you're voting on tonight is to move it to the public hearing. And you can vote it up and you can vote it down on the 22nd.
What you're saying, Alderman Reeves, is have the public hearing, but we defer the vote to the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. But tonight, we're voting on setting the public hearing for August the 22nd.
And then I believe it will come up again at our next meeting because we hear it 3 times before the public hearing.
Okay. So I have a question. So will all the addresses that received letters the first time, will they receive letters again about the public hearing for us? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Been any more discussion? Alderman King?
So we're voting on the public hearing,
Yes.
and we're going to move the date of the public hearing.
Now we're going to move the vote to the following.
But that will be on our next agenda to move the vote.
Okay. So this is just voting on the
Setting the
public
public
hearing.
hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have one more question. I couldn't hear this. The next meeting, we're going to vote to move them both? Is that right?
No, we're going to have the next August the 22nd meeting, we will have the public hearing.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said move them both. Okay, I got you.
So we've got a meeting between then that we can vote. We can put that as an agenda item to move it on the next agenda. So you're voting to set a public hearing for August the 22nd for Resolution 2025-23. And that was that was Alderman Jack Young's motion. So if there's no more discussion, please go to your device and cast your vote on setting the public hearing for August 22nd. setting the public for August 22nd for Resolution 2523, passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 3? And again, just like item number 2, this is for the purpose of setting the public hearing on the same date, on August 22nd.
Set a public hearing for August 22nd, 2023 for Resolution 26-33, a resolution to approve a special use permit for Austin planned residential development to be located at the southern terminus of Christian Lane from the Alpine Gray planned development within the RS-15 single-family residential zoning district.
Since this is for the purpose, Ms. Taylor, you recognize at this time.
The proposed Austin plan development is a new 18-lot single-family housing development on 9.82 acres of land located at the southern terminus of Christian Lane, adjacent to the Alpine Gray subdivision off of Chatillon Road and Alpine Gray Drive, and it is located within the RS-15 single-family zoning district. The lot sizes for this development will range from 15,030 square feet to 26,566 square feet. The lot sizes will be similar to those in the adjacent Alpine Gray subdivision. Access to the subdivision will be from the existing Christian Lane street stub through the Alpine Gray subdivision. A temporary turnaround will be located on the west end of the Christian Lane Drive for the future connection to Shadowbrook Drive, which leads you to the Chatillon Place subdivision. Currently, there is some land between this new proposed turnaround and the Chatillon Place subdivision. So once that property in between will be is constructed, then the drive will connect. Stormwater detention will be located within the common open space area of this proposed plan development. This application went before the Planning Commission on July 12th, and it comes to you with a favorable recommendation with the approved conditions. Should this board approve this request, the applicant will return to the Planning Commission with an application for construction plans and final plans.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Is there a motion to set a public hearing on August 22nd for Resolution 26-33?
I make the motion to set the public hearing August 22nd, 2023.
Thank you. A motion made by Alderman David Reeves and seconded by Alderman Brad King. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Seeing no discussion, I'm sorry, Alderman Quinn.
Just to clarify, in case somebody's skipping through the YouTube video, the same people who received letters the last time will receive letters this time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So that happens every time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time?
Yeah, just for the public, just want to make sure that they understood, because I know for this one there was more people than could speak against it. So I just want to make sure they all get their chance again.
Yes, sir. So is there any more discussion? Hearing no discussion, please go to your device and cast your vote, please. Resolution 26-33 passes unanimous 6-0. And with great pleasure, Ms. Clerk, please read item number 4.
Resolution 27-23, a resolution to amend the fiscal year 2024 general fund budget to recognize and accept $750,000 receipt of State of Tennessee grant funding for school resource officers and to increase and reclassify police department budget line items for expenditure of these funds.
Mr. Dick Phoebus, Director of Finance.
This resolution asks the board to accept a grant from the state of Tennessee for $750,000 for its SRO program. I've included a report to the board in regard to this grant, explains it in fairly good detail. The resolution actually, since we already had the money budgeted in the FY24 budget, it doesn't replace that, but it supplements that, and the reason for the line items in the resolution are that we're going to add wages, but then we're going to take them away. It's like you have 2 boxes, add 2, take away 2, you still have 2. So, and the surplus that we'll create will be used to purchase vehicles for the police department.
Thank you, Mr. Phoebus. Is there a motion?
Move we approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, please go to your devices and cast your vote so we can put some more funding in the police department. Motion carries 6-0. And at this time, I'd ask Bobby, would you join me down in the well? And Sherry, if you'd like to join me also.
Go for it, baby. There you go with your glasses.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, is there a mic? Up here, is it? Does it work? It says on. Test. Oh, it's working now. Okay. So, as y'all know, that it was a couple of weeks ago that Alderman Simmons came before us and said that he will be resigning his position as of Monday, this coming Monday, and so received that resignation. By the way, that did open up a vacancy, which we've been advertising those. If you're interested in applying as a candidate to fill that position, you can go to our website, fill out the information. The cutoff is, I think, 5 closing day next Monday, the 31st. But in the meantime, this will be Bobby's last board meeting as an alderman, and
we know it is.
So Bobby has been here since 2006.
19 years. 19
years, and I just tonight, along with the alderman, I just wanted to say we present this plaque to you, Bobby, Alderman Bobby Simmons, on the occasion of your retirement from the city of Bartlett, and we appreciate very much your outstanding and dedicated service to the citizens of Bartlett. And in that recognition tonight, I present you with this plaque.
Thank you.
One other thing we'd like to present you with, Bobby, since you're always looking for a key to the doors around here, we wanted to present you with a key to the city. And if you find a door that fits, please let me know. So I will say this, that Sherry, would you like to make the announcement about next Monday night?
Sure.
Here we go.
Next Monday night, July 31st from 5:30 to 7 at BPAC. We're having a celebration for Bobby's service for the city of Bartlett, and everyone is invited. So I want to celebrate him one more time.
Sherry, did you say the time? 5:30 to 7 at BPAC. So there again. So Bobby, we appreciate you very much. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I'm out of here, man.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. And he goes.
I think that's the. He said he was out of here.
That's right. He wasn't kidding.
Oh, me. This, we move to open discussion at this time. And is there anything that the board, any board member would like to say? Alderman King?
I'd just like to thank you, Bobby, for your years of service, and you've been a big part of this city. You've seen a lot of changes, and your commitment to youth sports. I know you're in the Amateur Hall of Fame, and your commitment to that, and we just want to say thank you for your service here to the city of Bartlett. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Alderman Reese?
I was just going to kick in here. The funny part is Alderman Simmons was my football referee in SYS when I was a little fat tyke, and then as I even grew up to a skinnier kid back in middle SYS, I remember Bobby calling a lot of my games. So I remember when he used to have longer hair, and but he was a great referee. We've had some really fun political rivalry over the years, and I think that's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you always kind of pushing me to be better, and for also the support, So, Bobby, really appreciate your commitment to the city and what you've done, we're going to miss you. So, take care.
Thank you.
Alderman Young?
I've had the opportunity to sit next to Bobby for those 19 years, and Bobby, I'll miss you. We've had an opportunity to have some unique discussions, and maybe we won't have any of those anymore, and that's okay too. But anyway, I wish you the very best, and hope your days ahead are better than your days past.
Good guy.
Alderman Quinn?
Yeah. Well, I thought we were saving this for the big party. Just can't tell you enough, what you mean to me, what you mean to a lot of people, probably more people than you'll ever know. You've been a great mentor and friend to people. Sometimes, having lunch with Bobby over the years, and he'd be like, "Oh, let's go to Memphis where not as many people would know me, and I get to eat." It didn't matter. It didn't matter where we went. I think we could have gone to Jackson, Mississippi, and somebody would have known Bobby Simmons. I've seen it in the state capitol and everywhere we've been, and you just mean a lot to a lot of people. And I know that we still see you on the golf course and Fat Larry's at your table, not Brad's table, but your table. And we're just going to miss you, and just appreciate all you've done over the decades of service to people of Shelby County and Bartlett, and it's just, like I say, you'll never know how many people you affected, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate that, the comments, and young lady that come up and stood beside me. Don't put hands on.
Alderman Griffin?
Yep. Bobby, it's just like Kevin said, just kind of echoes what some of these other guys have said. Every time we went to Nashville, over and over again, we heard, "Where's Bobby? Is Bobby here today? How's Bobby doing?" So every person we talked to up in Nashville kept asking about you. So it's always good to tell them how you're doing. It's always good to see you out here supporting the city of Bartlett, representing the constituents as you always have so faithfully for so many years. And we just thank you for everything you've done for Bartlett.
Bobby, I'd say the same thing. Been a good friendship, and friendship won't stop, but seeing you on the board will. And I was talking with Bubba just the other day, and he said he's got you a seat on the front porch. So, is anything else the board would like to announce? So if not, is there any director have anything they'd like to say or add? I see Mr. Crenshaw jumping at the bit to get up here and tell you how many tree limbs he's picked up.
Mr. Bobby, thank you, sir, for supporting Public Works. We're approving all our budgets for years, and most importantly, our raises that you voted in for us. I know we all appreciate that. Quick update on the storm collection. Right now, as of end of workday yesterday, we've collected 115,000 cubic yards of brush off the street. That equates into about 2,400 truckloads to our debris disposal site. We're still running about 23 trucks. 13 of those are contractor trucks. They're the double trailer truck combo. We're running about 10 on the average of our solid waste trucks. Our knuckle boom trucks are running. And so to bring in, Paul, the parks, it comes out to about 128,000 included their collection. And to put it in perspective, our ice storm last February, I think it was 68,000 cubic yards. We did that, collected that all in about 6 weeks' time. We've made one solid sweep of the city thus far since I guess today is a month. And so this Monday yesterday we started our second swing. And so I encourage everyone to be patient. We're coming. We'll get it all collected. Nobody wants it done quicker than me, so I'm tired of dreaming about brush piles. So that's all I got.
Hey, Matt, would you mind making any comments about? I've drove down the road and I've seen a lot of folks who would still have a large tree and a stump on it with the roots still into it. Can you kind of just brief the people on what they need to do that makes it easier for y'all to pick it up? And that might be some of the reasons that the stuff has not been picked up.
Yes, sir. So anything 24 inches and larger, our trucks, our personal solid waste trucks can't pick up. Contractors can get just a little bit larger than that. The root balls, things of that nature, we're working with our debris contractor on a solution to try to get those off the street now. We're going to have to break them down just a little bit smaller, and so we're working on that, and we should have that going by first of next week and get the rest of that off the street. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So we have open discussion. I'm sorry. Paul's coming forward. I'm sorry, Paul.
Good evening. Just wanted to make the public aware as well as the board aware that we do have a public meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August the 15th for our Parks and Recreation Master Plan update. So this public meeting is just going to be available to inform residents on what that process really entails. So we've already done some background work getting prepped for this part. And this is a way for citizens to make their voices known on what they would like to see in Parks and Recreation for the decade and beyond. So this will be held at the Bartlett Station Municipal Center at 5:30 p.m. in the reception hall, and it's going to be about a 60-minute to 90-minute meeting, and it's really going to, again, outline what that process entails. So what all is involved, how can your voice be counted, and how can you be part of that process?
Thank you. Alderman Quinn.
While you're up here, how's it going with the survey? Has that been completed?
Right. So a piece of the master plan process is the needs assessment. So we've already completed the scientific sample. We sent out postcards to 4,500 random addresses in the city of Bartlett. We received enough responses to have that sample completed. And then the next part of that would be citizens themselves that weren't in that initial random sample will have the opportunity to also complete that assessment. Okay. So all of that will be shared at the meeting on the 15th.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Do we have any other directors wish to come forward? Jimbo, I just now recognize you in the back of the room. Nice to see you. We move now to open discussion that's limited to 20 minutes. Individuals who speak will be allowed to speak up to 3 minutes on any item they wish concerning the citizens in Bartlett. Is there any citizen wish to come forward at this time? Please, thank you, ma'am. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello. My name is Anna Harper. I reside at 7177 La Mesa Lane in the Cherry Valley neighborhood. I wanted to come and speak with you all about an incident that happened on the evening of Monday, July 10th, around 7:10 p.m. A driver was careless as my neighbor, it's behind me, her children and 6-month-old puppy Ella were crossing the street to excitedly play soccer in our front yard, as we've done many times before on any given evening. While crossing the street, a truck struck Ella, the puppy, and nearly hit the children. I tried to save Ella, as I've seen dogs much worse off still come back fighting, but her little body couldn't handle the impact. While holding Ella in my arms, she bled from her ears, nose, mouth, and bottom, and I told her we all loved her and she was the best dog we could have asked for, reminding her that all dogs go to heaven. Her tail wagged as I gave her kisses and told her it was okay to let go. I'm covered in blood from head to toe as I returned home to 7 children with a lifeless puppy, as Ella didn't make it more than 5 minutes down the road. To this day, I do not have an answer as to why this happened, other than the assumption that Ella was the guardian angel of our family's children. After experiencing such a tragedy, I reached out to the City of Bartlett Engineering Department to inquire about reducing the speed limit or possibly installing speed bumps in the neighborhood. I spoke with Ms. Becky Bailey in the Engineering Department, but she informed me that the City of Bartlett does not do speed bumps. Ms. Becky Bailey also stated that speed bumps will only slow down emergency vehicles. My personal experience, speed bumps slow me down. In addition, I've also noticed that other Bartlett neighborhoods have lower speed limits within their neighborhoods and have more visible speed limit signs posted. I'm hoping that you all will heed my personal tragedy as a warning that this could have easily been a child's life lost, and will consider at least installing more speed limit signs within Cherry Valley around Bartlett, reduce the speed limit on interlining city streets from Santa Valley, and reconsider your stance on speed bumps for the future families and children of Bartlett to feel safe in their neighborhoods. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. It's not fell on deaf ears. We're looking into speed limits, and it's been a long-standing, order that speed bumps wasn't installed in Bartlett. There are things called speed humps.
Yes.
And we're having discussions around that, and so it didn't fall on deaf ears. Can I ask just one question?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the dog's name?
Her name was Ella.
Did she slip out of the leash, or was she on a leash?
She was on a leash.
Yes,
sir.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to come forward at this time? Seeing no one else wishing to speak tonight, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been properly seconded by Alderman. That's quite the spirit. He made the motion to adjourn the last meeting. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion to adjourn passes.